All right, shalom, shalom, peace and blessings to everybody who tuning in, who will tune in. My journey to the truth. The sister Erica.
Shalom, shalom.
Time to get on.
No, we're not.
Drop a 12 if the video and the audio coming through clearly.
Oh, you always complain.
Man, shalom.
I'll read to you later, okay? I'll read to you
Shalom, shalom. Drop a 12 with the audio and the video coming through good. All praises.
Here, read this book. There you go. Hi. Shh, 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 baby. You've been quiet.
Hello. Shalom up. Jacob, wake up. Obadiah, Israel. Baraka, Israel. Yafaya, Sharal. Y'all saying that we're here. Of course, Lanoya. Shalom. Peace and blessings. Uriah LaShawn, Sister Shemaya, peace and blessings to y'all. Smash the like button.
Stop.
All right, all right. Peace and blessings to everybody who tuning in, everybody who will tune in. All praise and glory and honor go to the Most High, the Creator of the heavens, the earth, the seas, and everything that's in them. He blessed us to make it through last week, the night hours, the ween hours, the noonday, the eventide, the morning. Some of us been sick. The Most High done took away those ailments, and He gave us another chance to appreciate great health. The Most High done provided us safe travel as we commuted throughout the cities, throughout the country, making a way that we can have food, beverage, shelter, raiment, those things that's a necessity for mankind. So we always want to start off with glorifying the Most High, giving Him due honor and glory. This song that was played was by Tevin White. I want to come too. You can find it on SoundCloud, SoundClick. I think it's on all platforms now, as a matter of fact. So aside from that, for today, family, the journey to the truth. I know it's been a minute, and I got a couple more lined up for us. But as always, if you have been keeping up with it, or if you have been in tune with people sharing their testimonies, this is about people showing or speaking on the path and the journey that they've come from into the knowledge of the Most High, into the truth of us being Israelites and the chosen people, and understanding that we are the chosen. Within it's not so much as to be a stream where it's a lot of teaching, but more so for you to get to know people. I've seen that so many people dislike one another, don't even know one another, but come to find out you got so many similarities, many things in common. It's power in our stories, it's power in our testimonies, and it's also that the Most High don't always seem relatable to people. A lot of times people feel like, well, I'm too dirty, I'm too foul. I've been too deep off into the streets. I've been too deep off into the world. I've been too shy still, whatever it might be. Uh, but it's we hear and we stream and we do this to let you know, those who may not be aware, that the Most High can pull you out of anything so long as you're willing. So we got Sister Erica. You want to say something, Sister, before we start?
I'm just, all praise to the Most High for allowing me to be able to talk to my brothers and sisters. Maybe I can, say something that touches you, that makes you feel like, like you said, you ain't too dirty. You're not too nothing for the Most High. Ain't nothing too big for Him.
Mhm. Indeed, indeed. Okay. All right. So, in the description, I put the testimony or the transition rather of a former coven. All right. So even just before we start, the way that I met Sister Erica, she reached out about being baptized. All right, and so she made the trip down. We went to the water, and even within it, it was experiencing some signs that I had saw. But after we came out the water, I asked her, so what was your religion before the truth? And she replied, a witch. And I'm like, okay. You know what I mean? So there was something that I hadn't really just heard far as in the truth just yet. So, you can share with us a little bit about like how did you get into it?
Okay, so I'll just start off by saying I grew up in a predominantly white area, like in Nebraska. There's not a lot of people who look like me. And a lot of the people out here, they practice, whether they think they're witches or not, just what they practice, they are. Like, your basic like astrology, tarot, all that stuff. But like I had friends who giant pentagrams on the wall and like, oh, let's go to a graveyard and do seances because they think it's cool and innocent. But in reality, you messing with stuff you have no business messing with.
Mm,
So I got into it real early, like middle school, high school,
mm.
and it just kind of like it honestly ballooned from there. I was proud of it. I'm ashamed to say now, but I thought it was cool. I thought everybody's doing, everyone around me's doing it.
So it was you felt like it was cool, but you were in an area in an environment where it was encouraging. You said something that stood out You said whether the people know and understand or not, the things that they're practicing is still
Hmm.
witchcraft. Okay. So what about like your family though? Like your parents, were they involved?
No, my mom, she's not religious or anything, but she believes in God and all that. But we never went to church or anything, so she was obviously really against it. She's like, I pray for you all the time, and I hope you can get out of this. So a mother's prayer is a beautiful thing because all praise to you, I did get out of it, but she was not into it.
Mm. All right. So you say you started in middle school. So the things that come to mind. They got a movie called can't think of the name of it right now, but it's a movie with a couple of young female who they were witches. So from the things that you've experienced in their lifestyle as a coven, uh, the things that they portray in the movie, are those things true? Or is it any facts behind those things that they show?
I honestly, yeah, because I mean, look who's behind media and things like that. It's not no truth keepers, for that's for sure. So a lot of the things they show in movies and TVs, that's real stuff, and they're spoon feeding it to these young impressionable kids. Like my mom used to read me Harry Potter growing up, desensitized me to witchcraft real young. Oh, it's cool, it's fun, it's all that. And now that I'm older, I realize, oh, I could never teach my son any of that stuff. I can't read him those books. We read scripture and that's it. So they really spoon feeding these kids like, oh, it's cool to be a witch, it's cool to practice all this, when it's in reality it's not.
That's the truth. That is the truth. Um, so with that, I'll say, so like the practices. When I did a study on coven, I think this was like in Britain or something. They were talking about how the masses are becoming more and more acceptable to witchcraft and the things of their nature.
Mm-hmm.
I was saying that the witches a lot of time deal with and love nature.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, what can you speak on it a little bit for me?
Well, yeah, I'll say that because like the way they portray it to you, like there's good witchcraft and there's bad witchcraft, and good witches are like they worship the trees and they spend time in nature worshiping
Mm,
the creation and not the creator. Just real weird backward stuff. Like it's kind of hard. It's kind of hard to explain, but yeah, just like really being in tune with nature. You're really into the herbs and everything, which herbs aren't bad. They're medicine from the Most High, but what you choose to do with them and the things that you're giving that glory to kind of defines what you're practicing.
mm. Indeed, indeed. And that is the water. The water, though, he said the craft. Yeah, that's the name of the movie.
That's Yep,
Yeah,
yep,
indeed. And so, and I'm glad you just said what you said too, because it, along the lines of what you said about them portraying the witchcraft to be cool, like you said, good witches and bad witches, but it's all bad.
it's all bad.
Uh, like they in Lord of the Rings, they show Gandalf. He's supposed to be a cool wizard. you know, he's supposed to, he turned to the white wizard, and it's
Yeah.
all good. All of it is really of evil. So in high school, and you're being initiated into it, I know you said you were desensitized to it through the books, and everybody pretty much, even if they knew or not, was it like a specific, encounter where somebody came to you like, hey, we witches, would you do they speak on like saying, we actually are worshiping Satan, or we got these books and trying to cast a spell or
Yeah.
anything of that?
So my first encounter was this girl. I won't mention her name, but just a girl I went to school with, and she's like, "Oh, you should come over." And the first thing she pulled out was like a Ouija board. And
Mm,
then she starts, like it was innocent, it was cool. We were just playing around, whatever, whatever. And then she starts talking about like, yeah, both me and my mom practice this, and they they don't outright say, oh, we worship Satan. They say they worship the horned god, which is
mm,
Satan, just another name for the same thing. And then
mm,
she's like, oh, and he's just like a representation of like nature and everything. It's just like the seasons, and then they have like that whole you're fine. Uh, what is it? What does she say? Kind of like that Trinity gospel, but for for witchcraft, like you got the Father God, the Mother God, and the Son of God. That's the kind of the structure that they follow. They just give
Mm,
it different names. And if you look in all these pantheons, it's just different names for the same thing.
mm. So when y'all use the Ouija board, how'd it go?
I mean, it was honestly just us messing around, like, like, oh, it moved on its own when, dang well it didn't. But like
Mm,
it was just kind of that introduction to like, oh, so I feel like it kind of like opened that door, like, oh, so you're willing to mess with this type of stuff. Okay, bet. And
mm.
that's things kind of just spiraled from there. Like I was getting tarot cards, I was researching, reading books, going to the library, just full headlong into it.
Man, well, I'll pray to the Most High for the deliverance from that, indeed.
Yeah.
So, time going on, you didn't have a really, like you said, your mama believed in a higher power. She believed in God. Uh, but it wasn't really, I guess, enforced from how understanding how you just put it.
Mm-hmm.
So as time goes on, how is that affecting you? Far as like, is the Most High speaking to you at all, as you can recall, looking back, to try to draw you out of that lifestyle?
Yeah, I would say so because, like, I've always felt like a connection to the Most High. I just didn't know who or like a name to put, name to a face type of thing. But like, there was instances where I would like meet people who just, I won't say like not like devout Christians. They still, practice like Christmas and all that type of stuff. But they would try to talk to me like, hey, have you read your Bible? I'm like, yeah, I've looked at it. I had a friend who's like got me really interested in like theology, and I wanted to study theology in college, but my mom talked me out of that. She's like, it's not practical. Why would you do that?
Mm,
Okay, so yeah, like there was like instances where people would like just they would try. Like for instance, my son's father, when we were together, when I first met him, he prayed for me, and I don't know what it was about him praying for me. I could not stop crying that whole day. I was just crying and crying and crying. Like something was like, oh, I don't know how to describe it. It was so weird. And people have prayed for me before, but it was different then.
yeah. All praise to the Most High. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
you got a question here in the comments too
Hmm.
from Yashiraya. Yashiraya said, "Did y'all ever refer to the horned god by a certain name, or was it simply that title?"
Yeah, sometimes they refer to him as like Odin. Like I say, it's different for
Mm,
different people because like there are people who take it like the Egyptian spin on it, and what is that? Osiris.
right.
Like for each one,
Mm-hmm.
they're all the same gods, just different cultures have taken over and named them different things. They're all the same.
Right.
Come here, baby. Come here.
Mm. So, man, it's a lot of different things that I'm thinking about. So he prayed for you. You
Mm-hmm.
felt it. So you was crying. It was a different experience. Uh, so beyond that, so how did you begin to, get into the point where you are now?
Let's see. So, I used to when I lived in Florida, I used to dance. Like I was a stripper, whatever. But there were these ladies. Hi, there were these little old ladies who would come in with Bibles, and
Mm,
they would read the word to the girls. They would give them like little care packages. Like I had this lady who gave me like a really small Bible. I passed it on to someone else, but like that was like that first instance. I'm like, I think I'm gonna read this when I get home. And like
mm,
I was reading, but still going to the club and stripping and everything. But I would come home and I read read my Bible.
right, right, indeed.
Right. So it was a very slow introduction because like I said, I had my mom kind of introduced me to it a little bit, but it just never clicked for me. Hi.
Mm,
So, but like something about these ladies coming into this place just laden with like iniquity, sin, sexual immorality, and they're just like, "Oh, here's the Bible, and I'm praying for you, dear." Super sweet old ladies. I'll never forget them. So sweet.
praise to the Most High. So this for anybody listening, man, that's empowering too for us to know. Uh, we gotta go into these areas a lot of time. You know what I mean? The book tell us that the Most High, He gonna have teachers that they're not gonna be on inside the temple or inside a building waiting for you to come to them. They gonna be out in the highways and the hedges and going into the cuts and what people really needed. So
Hmm.
we need it in these places. It's not always about, like I say before, it's not always gonna be over YouTube. It's not even gonna always be with the street preaching. Sometimes we gotta go door to door or go to these events and places where you wouldn't expect to see a light or hear something upright or
Hmm.
righteous. Somebody listening and somebody need to hear their word. All right, so you got another question too. This from our actual Israel says, "What's the realest supernatural thing a coded experience?"
I don't know if it was more of like a feeling. So this was right when I got to Florida, and I was staying. I was living in a hotel room, and I would just I don't know. It's really hard to describe. Like I was laying in bed one night, and there was like this weird like stain on my floor,
Mm,
super weird, like a weird black stain. And it just was huge and it was gross and like it was like a roach motel. So I'm like, not even gonna go over there. I don't know what that stain's about. But I noticed that, when I was really in my word and I was trying to like learn as much as I can, that stain kept getting bigger. And it was just so,
mm.
so weird. I'm like, what is wrong with this? I tried to clean it, everything. And then I
Mm.
turned around one day and it was gone.
Oh man.
And I'm like, I don't know, because I used to smoke a lot of weed. So I'm like, am I tripping? Or is that real? But like, and like whenever I would be in that room, there was like a presence, definitely a presence. I don't know what, who, you know, definitely a type of presence. And whenever I like read my Bible or like just weird things would happen, like my TV fell off my I had it on top of my fridge because like it was like a one room
Mm,
motel thing. They got a full size fridge and I had put the TV on top of it. I'm sitting in the bed minding my own business and it just falls over. And I was
mm,
like, I'm gonna pretend like I didn't see that and
mm.
go about my business. Just little things like that, but especially in that hotel room, right as I was getting into the word.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll pray to the Most High. So, and then I want you to know too. So, I'm streaming these over YouTube and Facebook, and I do
Mhm.
know that some of the friends on the Facebook are witches. And so, for anybody who listening, I didn't unfriend them or anything like that because I want them to know that it's still light somewhere. So as you
Mhm.
speak, I want you to keep that in mind. Like some of those witches, they might hear you, and they need to hear what you got, what the Most High done put in you, in order for them to come out of that. All right, and you got another question. I said, did you ever notice a connection between smoking weed and the amount of encounters, or even the strength of the encounters you had?
Um, I don't know about that. I just noticed a disconnect from the father whenever I would smoke.
Mm,
Like I just like I couldn't hear him or I just was disinterested in reading my Bible or like I would read and there was like no understanding. Like it was just like I'm just reading words. But as soon as I stopped smoking, like a couple days I don't smoke, I'm in my word and it's like all this like knowledge and everything. And then when I fall back and I start smoking again, it's like I'm starting from square one.
mm.
So
And then,
it's definitely a block. Stopping smoking was like one of the hardest things for me. It was a really big stumbling block for me, but all praise to y'all that that's over. Come here, baby.
pray to the Most High. Uh, So the question is, then, you come from what point did you leave Nebraska to go to Florida?
Um, let's see. It was a couple years after I graduated high school. I was 20, 22, something like that. Give me that. I'm trying to
Okay.
choke. Give me that. I was 22 and I had just ended like a really long engagement. I was engaged. And I had broken off that engagement. Things were just not good. So I moved in with my dad and that went bad really, really quickly. He ended up kicking me out because I was smoking weed and I ended up sleeping in my car for a couple of months. And then that's how I ended up dancing because girl needed some money.
Right,
So
right, right. Uh, got another question. I don't know. Gerald Swain, you will have to rephrase that question. Or I'm not understanding what you're saying. Shalom, Jada. Uh, and Jada got a question. She says, "Was witchcraft hard for you to stop doing, or was it easy for you to leave it alone?"
I would say it was hard just because there are so many things that are just kind of ingrained in our culture, especially as Americans, that we don't realize is witchcraft.
Mm,
Like horoscopes,
okay.
um, like what's another example? There's so much. There's so much. Vision boards, visualization, like all this new age stuff is just witchcraft repackaged for a newer generation. That's all it is.
Mm.
So just
So
kind of like having that eye of discernment, like, let me do a little research. What's the origin of this? Okay, I got to leave that alone. Let me look at this. Okay, I need to leave that alone. Like it was just kind of like weeding out the little bits of paganism so left over in my life.
mm, I'll pray to the Most High. Now you just said about the horoscopes. Now share with us how exactly were witches or covens, because some people don't even understand that word alone,
Hmm.
is related to being a witch or that same lifestyle. So how was horoscopes used in that lifestyle?
So I would have like one of back then one of my good friends. She would like, oh, what's your sign? And then like, oh, what's your moon sign? And what's your star sign? All these signs, like
Mm,
I couldn't explain it. I'm not into that. But she would like go in her little book and like start just saying all these things about you. Oh, you're this way because of this, and you should follow kind of like this way of belief, and like these are the spells and the instruments that are good for you based on the star and the month and everything and the time that you were born in. So,
mm,
yeah.
indeed. All right, and so Jada wants she asked, can you explain how vision boards are witchcraft? Because they make children do those in school.
Oh, see, he gonna be homeschooled. Um, basically, how do I put this? It's like with witchcraft, like there's like an intention, like whether you're saying a spell, whether you're instead of putting that, asking the most high for the thing, and I want you to say the things you want, like the lifestyle you want, or to have his will be done, you're imparting your own will, which is
Mm,
what witchcraft is all about. It's like your will over everyone else's. Like you're in charge of your own destiny and all that stuff, all the stuff that they teach nowadays. And that's what where these vision boards come in, like, oh, like, and it kind of ties in with, what's that book, The Secret. And they talk about, what is it, the law of attraction, those type of things. Like if you ruminate and you visualize these things, you'll bring it into your life. Well, yeah, that's a form of witchcraft because you're not giving that energy to the most high. You're trying to impart your own will, trying to do your own thing, trying to be the creator of your own destiny, which is what Hasatan wants us to do.
mm. Indeed, indeed. That's cold. All praise to the Most High. So there's it right there to impart your own will. And
Hmm.
when we go to the script, we see what the Messiah told us. He said, "Thy will be done," or "Your will be done," and we know His will is perfect.
Hmm.
Uh, so I'll pray to the Most High for that, sharing it up. You got another question? It says, "Are vision boards truly witchcraft, or is it the intention?" Same with crystals. It's from your name Pollard.
um I would say the origins of vision boards is witchcraft, and like I don't think it's acceptable to try to take something that's dirty and try to clean it up.
Mm,
Like if it's made of mud, it is dirt. You can't clean up dirt. Come here, sweetie. What's wrong? Come here.
indeed.
And then with as far as crystals, like crystals are in the Bible, but it's your intention with these crystals. Like you were, a lot of people give all this attention and glory to the crystals. Who made the crystals? Like I do believe like certain rocks may have a certain, I don't know. I'm not into any of that, but that's y'all's business.
Mm,
Like that ain't got nothing to do with us.
indeed, indeed, indeed. So okay, so so how was did Pops understand, or did he know, or had his mama
um,
mama told you he that you were dealing in witchcraft when you came down to Florida?
no, he didn't really know much about me, and I didn't really know much about him. So it was just I was so wrapped up in my own like I want what I want. I want to do what I want. I don't care about nobody else's rules.
Mm,
And you know, that's a perfect parallel for how people are with the Father. Like, oh, I don't want to follow your rules. I want to do my own thing. Okay, bet. Go do your own thing. And
mm,
that's kind of how the lesson I learned with my dad.
mm,
Oh, and real quick, I want to backtrack. Like, if you look, I want to say in scripture or like in your Strong's Concordance, the definition of witchcraft is going outside of the natural order to achieve a result. I want you to keep that in mind. You
mm,
go outside of the natural order to try and get something done, that's witchcraft.
mm.
Medicine, pharmakia, all that. Baby boy.
Pay attention, people. This. You can get it from one person who they haven't been in that lifestyle and they speak on it. But then it's different and it hit different when it comes from a person who actually been in that lifestyle. And then can transition and show you like, yeah, that's what it really is. So all praise to the Most High for for your testimony. So what was the breaking point? You know what I mean? What was the point where you heard the word and I know the sweet old ladies that came in talking, and the other people they say I'm gonna pray for you, and his pops prayed for you. But what happened when you was like, okay, well that's it. This I'm finna really just lay all this down and give it all to the Most High.
So I had given up witchcraft pretty soon in like my journey to the truth, but like I was still doing what I was doing, like stripping and smoking weed and all that stuff.
Okay.
But it was I had started doing some research. Who did I watch? YouTube. Praise y'all for YouTube because that's a lot of people's introduction into the truth. Um, what's dude's name? Truth Unedited. I know a lot of people came to the truth via him, but he does this cute little series called like the History of Religion, and he was pointing out all like the mystery religion and like everything is basically like Nimrod worship and everything like that, and like he tied in like Christmas and Easter and all that stuff. And I'm like, yeah, because when I was pagan, we practiced Yule, which is just Christmas under a different name.
Mm,
Easter is a fertility holiday. Like
mm,
all these holidays, I was practicing as a witch. So I'm like, if I'm coming into the truth, how are these related? How am I still doing these religions or these holidays, but I'm supposedly in truth? It wasn't adding up.
mm.
And
And
so I just kind of left all that alone. I'm like, well, this is obviously not it. Oh, honey.
praise to the Most High. Indeed, and I pray. I'm glad you did leave it alone. I'm trying to. I'm really just blown away by everything, and I'm sponging more. But if y'all got any more questions, drop it in the comment section like y'all have been doing. I'll pray to the Most High for truth unedited and the works that
Mhm.
the Most High doing through him. In that ministry. Anybody got any other questions? Because I'm kind of just I got so much going on. I don't know what to say partially. Uh okay, so Jada says so witches have their own holidays,
Yeah.
but it's still okay, it's still tying to pagan holidays. All right, talk about their Yule.
So Yule basically, I forget what god it's like. It's the horn god, but like I want to say it ties into like those like Germanic holidays, but basically it's celebrating like how the horn god like goes to sleep and is like reborn, something to that effect. But like the Yule log they burn in the fire is supposed to like repel evil spirits, which is you asking evil spirits to repel evil spirits, whatever. But I just don't make
What?
sense.
Man, Tuesday.
And then like the whole like the Christmas tree that comes from Nimrod worship. So real quick because I don't like talking about it too much, but basically the whole storyline was Nimrod had he married his mother, they had a child, he died, then no, so he married his mother, he died, and then suddenly she's pregnant and she's saying, oh, this is Nimrod reborn into his son Tammuz. And then somehow Tammuz gets killed by a pig, and that's why we eat pig on Easter. It's really weird. He was reborn as an evergreen tree. And that's where that symbolism comes in. Real crazy stuff.
Indeed, indeed.
How you
Uh,
doing? Come here.
Brandon Lewis said, Soldier Boy had everybody saying it. Okay, I get that. You okay? Indeed, indeed. Gerald Wayne, if I understand your question correctly, yeah, I believe in the Father and the Son and the Holy Spirit. So the brother actual said, did any spells work for her and how? And at any given time, so you want to get off the witchcraft thing into something else, we can do that. But these are the questions that that the nation is dropping in.
Um, I won't even say that any spells actually worked because I won't say it's not made up, it's not make believe, but like these spirits and these principalities that you're given this power to, that you're technically praying to, like they can give you anything that you want as long as you don't go searching for the truth. Basically, they just want to keep you all cozy in your little fake religion so you don't
Mm,
start seeking other things. So I can't even say that any spells worked. It's just like I was content in my sin. I was content to wallow where I was.
mm, indeed, indeed. So now my brother he schooled me on this within the realm of the witchcraft and sorcery and stuff. Was saying that at one point in time the witches would cast spells, but in the way that they casted them, a lot of times those spells would end up backfiring on them. So they might cast a love spell,
Mm,
and this love spell would cause them to be head over heels for this person instead of it being the reverse.
yeah.
So the witches came up with the plan to say, well, you know what, because they have to get you to volunteer and participate in it.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of me casting a spell, I'm gonna create what was called potion. And these potions, if I get you to drink it, then you basically chose your own poison.
Right.
That goes into the Snow White thing. She had the apple. She gave the apple to Snow White. You know what I mean? And she was able to take part in her own death.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of it being a way where it could come back on that particular, spell caster. Uh, okay, I'm looking at the comments, but so nonetheless, so those type of things. You got people today. They talk about. I don't know if you heard of this, the 666, right? So
Mm-hmm.
we get 666 in Revelation, but I have the witches in my family. Well, it's six protons, it's six neutrons, and six electrons.
Mm-hmm.
We get the witches on the timeline saying that we're supposed to pray to our ancestors and speak to the dead and those things.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, what is your take on it? What is your understanding on it?
I mean, I'm gonna quote a Disney movie. Mulan, where she's like, "Oh, I'm gonna pray to the ancestors for help," and the grandma's like, "What good are they? They're dead." Like,
Mm,
real talk though. Like,
indeed, indeed,
they have no power. They'd still be alive, honestly.
indeed,
Come here,
indeed.
sweetie. What's
That's
wrong?
right.
Come
That's
here.
right.
So,
Okay.
and like as far as like the potions and all that, I don't really know much about that. But I will say, like you said, like they have to choose it. Aleister Crowley, the head of the Satanic Church, decades ago, he did an interview on TV where he said, we cannot curse people, but we can get them to curse themselves by reciting lyrics. That's why these songs today, all these lyrics you recite, and you need to be careful what you say out your mouth because life and death are in the power of the tongue. And Satanists know that too. So they're gonna put out this music, oh, it's catchy, it's cool, and you're gonna just mindlessly repeat these things, and you're casting curses and spells on yourself.
Mm, indeed, indeed. So I was studying a guy named John Todd. Well, John Todd, he gained a level in the Masonic arena as far as or realm. He was a master mason, and he was
Mm,
talking about he stepped out for a minute. He came back in. He ended up seeing one of the other master masons in the store. He asked him, "Oh, y'all still do such and such with the music?" And then he go further to say, "Well, yeah, we wait till a full moon, and in every major record label office, they have a room where on the night of their full moon, they get 13 witches. And 13 witches come in and pray over the master copy of whatever album, the artist is about to put out. and it
Mhm.
said a spirit or a demon goes with each copy. Um, so I'm saying that to say, these are different things. And listening to you, I know you said you kind of you got out of it, kind of fast. It
Mhm.
wasn't so much, but just to have a time and an experience in that lifestyle, is bringing these different thoughts back. So you got another question. Talmud Halakha said, "Is there any validity to witches' potions being hard drugs?" Well, I know you said you didn't know too much about the potions.
Well, you know, I would say drugs are, those potions. Look at the term pharmakia, like pharmacy. That is witchcraft. That is the potions and things that they make. Going outside the natural order to try and cure you when they really ain't curing you. But I would say those are potions. Those are spells. Drugs, weed, all of them, crack, heroin, all that. I'd say those are potions and
Mm,
spells.
indeed. So what would you say? What you know now? Matter of fact, even before I ask that question, so your mother seeing this transition, even your father. So how do they receive you now? Now that you're not dealing with the spiritual lifestyle, you're not dealing with the witchcraft. You're walking in the light of the Most High. How do they respond to you?
So I ended up moving back to Nebraska. So I'm down here. I live real close to my mom, and like she's not in truth, but she's very respectful of, like, I honor the Sabbath, and I keep the feast days and things like that. And there's certain things I won't wear or say, or I can't have my son exposed to. So she under like she I won't say she understands, but she respects what I'm doing. But she's not interested. But all I can do is continue to be a light and hope that she maybe starts to ask questions and whatnot. And my
Mm,
dad, he's kind of the same boat. He's respectful, but like I said, he doesn't know much about me, and I don't know much about him. But I am praying that y'all can use me to try and touch my family, because I'm going to be visiting them in the next month or so for the first time since I had my son. So I'm really hoping that I can just be a light,
indeed,
you
I
know.
pray so. I pray so as well. You got another question, or a few questions from Shania. Yasha Israel says, "What are your views?" I think she meant on chakra, uh, third eye, astral projection. Is some of Israel believing in this? I at some point believed, but it didn't sit right in my spirit. So, what are your views on chakras, the third eye, astral projection?
So, like, I don't know if you guys have read Enoch, or if anyone has read Enoch, but it basically just real quick talks about how, like, the Watchers came down and they taught us a lot of stuff they were not supposed to teach us. And so a lot of these things may be based in, like, factuality, but it's not for us to mess with. It's not for us, to understand. There are certain things that just weren't meant for us, but unfortunately we were exposed to them anyway. I don't like, if it's not in scripture, if it's not in the Bible, if Yah did not tell you to mess with it, I would not mess with it.
Mm, indeed, indeed. I didn't know you said any herbs. Were there any specific herbs used for spells?
I don't really think so. I mean, I feel like any herb, any plant on this earth can be used in a way that's against Torah, against the law. It's just that knowledge, and like the Watchers gave us that knowledge as well on how to use these herbs in ways that were not just for medicine, because they were given to us for medicine, and then people, you know,
Mm,
that's what good thing.
indeed, indeed. All right, so I'm gonna read a couple of verses. I got Revelation 12. The purpose behind this, family. Anybody tuning in, and who will see this, this is the purpose of why we talking about this. Because you don't get this type of conversation when brothers is teaching and just coming straight out the book the whole time. A
Mm-hmm.
lot of times we don't get this type of these jewels and gems that we receiving today from Sister Erica, just within the congregation. uh, Sometimes you have to actually know the person, understand what they've been through, what they've saw, what they've experienced, and it's important because it is here. It's Revelation 12 and 11. It says, "And they overcame him by the blood of the Lamb and by the word of their testimony, and they loved not their lives unto the death." All right, so they overcame not only by the blood of the Lamb, but by the word of their testimony. Those experiences that they had, what
Mm.
they saw, what they could remember, the encounters that they can, go back to and say, "Well, the Most High delivered me from this." And looking back at it, I see why it was wrong. All
Yep.
right, so let me get something else. Acts 8, verse 9. Because this what came to mind. We didn't get to it because it was raining the day when Sister came to get baptized. But it was a blessing because we got in the water, uh, prayed. As soon as she came out the water, it's like the water broke from the sky. So it started pouring down even harder. And it was a trial even getting there because it was raining already. So we had to stand on the pavilion thing just to get the scripts in a few of them to get the
Hmm.
understanding about baptism. Then get in the water while it was raining, and then it started raining even harder. All right. But this Acts chapter 8, verse 9, it says, "But there was a certain man called Simon, which before time in the same city used sorcery, and bewitched the people of Samaria, giving out that himself was some great one, to whom they all gave heed from the least to the greatest, saying, This man is the great power of the Most High." So they revered this sorcerer or this warlock as a great man of the Most High. Verse 11 says, "And to him they had regard, because that of long time he had bewitched them with sorceries. But when they believed Philip preaching the things concerning the kingdom of the Most High, in the name of the Messiah, they were baptized, both men and women." Verse 13, "Then Simon himself believed also. And when he was baptized, he continued with Philip and wondered, beholding the miracles and signs which were done." So we even have an account in the oracles showing where, this man transitioned. I mean, he was a
Hmm.
sorcerer, warlock, or witch, but he heard their word and it tugged at his heart so much he believed, got baptized, and continued in the faith. All right. So you got anything else you want to share, sis?
Um, let me see. I would just say, just be careful about the things you give your energy to, the things that you do and you say, because like when I was a dancer, a lot of those women practice witchcraft as well, which is so weird
Mm,
because I thought I had gotten away from that, but it's not.
mm,
And it's like that sexual lore, like
yeah.
like they got the music and the lights and like we got all this makeup, you don't know who anybody looks like, and it's just, and even when I was dancing, it's definitely like an out of body experience, because it would be like I was out of my body and I was dancing and I was getting money and everything, and the whole time I didn't realize I'm casting spells on these men who are in this den of iniquity, and just by like I'm not even saying anything, just by my actions or my intentions and what I'm doing. So I would just say we need to be careful about what we say, what we do. Let us not be a stumbling block for anybody else just because our understanding may not be there yet. We just really need to look at what we're doing and saying. I'll say that.
Indeed. So what the present you, if you were able to speak to that younger Erica, and understanding the fact that it's many more young sisters and even brothers right now being initiated into the witchcraft, and not only the witchcraft, being initiated into a lifestyle to be strippers, or what I mean, in that den of iniquity, as you put it. What would you say to that person? What would you say to yourself if you could?
Ooh, I guess I would say that there's there's more than what society is spoon feeding you. And like, and I say that to be like, all of the music and the movies and everything that is geared especially towards us people of color, sex, drugs, killing each other, like ask yourself why are they pushing this so hard, and like, and what's the opposite end of that, because it's so easy to be programmed by what you take in. Like it's so easy to be programmed by the people you spend time around, and the company you keep, the things you keep around you, it can be detrimental to your walk. I would say that. because it was my friends who influenced me into witchcraft. It was the other dancers that influenced me into, the hair, the makeup, everything. It was the things around me. Like, I would say a little introspection, ask yourself, why do you do the things you do? And if you did these things in front of the Most High, how do you think he would feel? And that's, I ask myself that all the time. Like, if I was doing such and such in front of the Messiah, no. Okay. Like, imagine he in the room with you. Would he approve of what you're doing?
Right.
Okay.
Right. Indeed. So with that, what was the strippers doing? When you saying that it kind of threw you off a little bit to find out that the strippers was doing witchcraft. What are the strippers doing that was showing that they were practicing that same thing?
I would say it's definitely that deceit. Like, you got the fake hair and you got these long nails and these butterfly eyelashes. Like first off, you're not looking at a real person. That's not really what she looks like.
Mm,
They're telling you a bunch of lies to get in your pockets.
mm,
They're using their womanly wiles, knowing that men are susceptible. And I'm not just putting all the blame on women, but like, this is just my experience of what I can speak of. Like, men are susceptible to beautiful women who are offering these things. That it's a stumbling block for a lot of men, especially if they're in the club. So just like that deceit and that just that trickery, like that really does tie in, like, with witchcraft. The adversary uses those same tactics to get us to stray for thousands of years.
mm.
So yeah, it's definitely like, there's no dancer in the club who's telling the truth and, wholesome and sweet. No, they're all, and I won't say like they're horrible people. A lot of them are lost. A lot of them, feel like this is like their only option to like pay for school or to have a place to live, etc. I'm not talking about that, but I'm just talking about like the way they go about it.
Mm.
Yeah.
Indeed, indeed. And how long have you been in the truth now, sir?
Let's see. I really, really got into the truth when I found out I was pregnant with my son. So he's almost he's almost 18 months. So maybe I'll say like 2 years, a little over 2 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fairly new, fairly new. Right? It's a babe. Keep that in mind. So, saints, as y'all watching this, definitely keep sis in prayer because we know, definitely even now, to be in the truth for a decade or even 20 years, the adversary he still come. He flee for a season, but he return trying to get you back.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, so we definitely gonna be sending up the prayers for you at all times. So, um, another question from Lenoy said, what a manifestation? What is your take on it, or does that tie into the witchcraft thing or the sorcery and coven lifestyle manifesting certain things?
I said that ties in with like the vision board and the visualization. You trying to impart your own will to get these certain things to appear in your life, like whether it be money or a husband or anything like that. Trying to do whatever you can to make this thing happen instead of doing whatever you can to be right with the Most High.
Indeed, indeed. All right. So, do you ever think about going back to that lifestyle?
Heck no.
Right. Right. All right. Tommy said, is it fair to say sexual perversion cults in India is the reason why chakras have such a focus on the body because it's all about sensuality?
I
Uh,
don't know.
indeed. I don't know. Uh, Kardashian said, so what do you want to leave now for your children to learn from?
I just I want my son to grow up how I didn't, and that's practicing feast days, knowing the Torah. I don't even know what the word Torah meant a couple of years ago. Like, I want him to just, train up a child in the way he should go, and he will not stray from it. That's my whole goal right now. That's my whole goal, and like, it's just me out here, so I'm, trying to do the best I can, trying to teach this little boy how to be a man of the Most High. And all I can do is pray and ask Yah to guide me because I don't know what I'm doing. But he knows what he's doing, so I just have to be obedient.
That's right. That's right. All right. Awad Shah Yaradon said, it said that in Satanism and witchcraft, birthdays are considered high holy days.
Mm-hmm.
You find this to be true in your experience?
The whole point of, yeah, because like a lot of saviors have said like your the birthday is the like you said, the high holy days, because it's about worshiping yourself, worshiping, like, just like treating yourself like a king. And like that's a lot. I mean, even think of like the ritual of a birthday. You bake a cake, you put candles in it, you sing a creepy little song, you blow out the candles, you stab the cake. Doesn't that not seem right to you? I'm
right,
just saying.
right. Indeed, indeed. So yeah, indeed. So that definitely answered the question. And I know that question came up in one of the last streams. I think Talk to him Tuesday about birthdays. Uh, the question was, do is it still wicked if you don't take part in the cutting of the cake and the candles and going out? Is it still? Would you say it was still wicked?
I think that kind of ties into intention, because obviously in scripture they were keeping track of how long they had been alive. So like they would acknowledge like this was the day of my birth last year and the year before. But in no part of scripture does it talk about there was a giant festival for such and such birthday, or any of that stuff. Like I don't think we're meant to think that. It ties in with being like humble and being meek. You should not celebrate you. The only person we should be celebrating is the Most High. So like I acknowledge my son's birthday, and like, but we're not gonna go bake a cake and you can have any toy you want and you don't have to do this. No, just like, oh, you were born this day. All praise the Most High.
Indeed, indeed. All praise to the Most High. All right, all right. Shoot, they're dropping them in the comments. Let me see what they say. Uh, okay. I just dropped it. Happy Nappy Roots said I've heard something about Prince when he stopped celebrating his birthday. He stopped aging. He looked younger. I saw that portion of the interview too, sis. Let's see. And then if we talking about birthdays from a scriptural point, if we tie in that he say, learn not the way of the heathens, and then we look at the account that the heathens were celebrating their birthdays, Pharaoh,
Mm-hmm.
uh, in Antiochus Epiphanes, and on the days of their birthday, they kill people. And then we look at the custom of Israelites, how they said, curse the day that I was born. And like what you say, you don't see a point where any of the Israelites held some type of festival to celebrate or commemorate their birthday. The Most High showing us like this was not our custom.
Mm-hmm.
All right. But aside from that, I think that's about all that I could think of for today. Uh, King Harry as well. That's right.
Yeah.
But I think that's all that I can think of as far as the question that I may have about your journey. Uh, unless you have anything else that you specifically want to share with the people that you feel would be effective in drawing brothers or sisters to the Most High for understanding. No, what would you want to leave us with?
Um, Kind of like just touching back on what I said. Be careful of the people you spend time with. Be careful of those influences in your life. Be careful of that feeling of like familiarity and comfort. You know, those familiar spirits. That's a reason they're called familiar spirits, because it feels
Mm,
good to go back to your old ways sometimes,
mm,
even if you know it's not right, and you may have to cut people off. You may have to be alone. I'm no longer with my son's father because we started to come in truth together, and he couldn't come with me the rest of the way. Like horrible things started happening. Like he became violent, abusive. Just it's crazy what the adversary can do if you let him in, and
mm.
and sometimes he can get at you through the people that you love and that you care for, and oh, we're gonna be together forever, and like this is my best friend. This Yah's your best friend. Messiah's your best friend, and you do not have anyone over them. Like, oh, I'm just gonna ignore the bad parts. I'm not saying like don't ever speak to these people again. Maybe you're meant to be a light, but do not let these people influence you. You can love them and you can teach them if they want to be taught, but you can't make you can bring a horse to water, but you can't make it drink. Okay, that's all I would say.
Indeed, all praise to the Most High. Well, thank you for your time, sis. Thank you for being transparent with us to share what you know.
Maybe.
If it's anything that you might think about later on, because I know it happened like this sometimes. You're like, man, I should have said this. I forget
Yeah.
about this part. It won't be a thing to bring you back on, or so, for me to relate a message or whatever. But I pray everybody who is tuned in, I pray you enjoyed it. Pray that you were edified and learned something. Definitely that we can keep with us. I know I did. Smash the like button if you haven't, and that's so that somebody who you might not have these answers that Erica was able to share. These questions that the people, the brothers and sisters asked in the comments today, you might not know to ask those questions. But those questions were answered by Sute, and somebody may need to hear that. I know, like I said,
Mhm.
on my timeline, I got witches on my timeline. So I'm praying that they'll tune in and see this and get something to bring them out of their lifestyle. I even, strippers, former strippers as well, different type of people, man. So to be a light, may this testimony bless everybody who heard. Look at the young prince, salute to you, shalom, young man. You did.
So,
All right, shalom, shalom, y'all.